Capitalism is an economic system in which private individuals or businesses own capital goods. The production of goods and services under capitalism is based on supply and demand in the general market, known as a market economy. The purest form of capitalism is a free market or laissez-faire capitalism. Here, private individuals are unrestrained. They may determine where to invest, what to produce or sell, and at which prices to exchange goods and services. The laissez-faire marketplace operates without checks or controls. Today, most countries practice a mixed capitalist system that includes some degree of government regulation of business and ownership of select industries. Functionally, capitalism is one system of economic production and resource distribution. Instead of planning economic decisions through centralized political methods, as with socialism or feudalism, economic planning under capitalism occurs via decentralized, competitive, and voluntary decisions. Capitalism is essentially an economic system whereby the means of production, i.e., factories, tools, machines, raw materials, etc., are organized by one or more business owners, the capitalists. Capitalists then hire workers to operate the means of production in return for wages. Workers, however, do not have any claim on the means of production, nor on the profit generated from their labor. These belong to the capitalist. As such, private property rights are fundamental to capitalism. Most modern concepts of private property stem from John Locke's theory of homesteading, in which human beings claim ownership through mixing their labor with unclaimed resources. Private property promotes efficiency by giving the owner of resources an incentive to maximize the value of their property. So the more valuable the resource is, the more trading power it provides the owner. In a capitalist system, the person who owns the property is entitled to any value associated with that property. Profits are closely associated with the concept of private property. The profit motive, or the desire to earn profits from business activity, is the driving force of capitalism. It creates a competitive environment where businesses compete to be the low-cost producer of a certain good in order to gain market share. If it is more profitable to produce a different type of good, then a business is incentivized to switch. A capitalist earns the highest profit by using capital goods, most efficiently while producing the highest value good or service. In this system, information about what is highest valued is transmitted to those prices at which another individual voluntarily purchases the capitalist's good or service. Let's look at the pros of capitalism. There is more efficient allocation of capital resources. Competition leads to lower consumer prices. Wages and general standards of living have risen overall. Spurs innovation and invention. As for the cons, it creates inherent class conflict between capital and labor. It generates enormous wealth disparities and social inequalities. Unequal conditions lead to poverty and unemployment for some. It can incentivize corruption and crony capitalism in the pursuit of profit, and it produces negative externalities such as pollution. One downside of capitalism is incentives to corrupt. Crony capitalism refers to a capitalist society that is based on the close relationships between business, people, and the state. Instead of success being determined by a free market and the rule of law, the success of a business is dependent on the favoritism that is shown to it by the government in the form of tax breaks, government grants, and other incentives. In practice, this is the dominant form of capitalism worldwide due to the powerful incentives both faced by governments to extract resources by taxing, regulating, and fostering rent-seeking activity, and those faced by capitalist businesses to increase profits by obtaining subsidies, limiting competition, and imposing barriers to entry. In effect, these forces represent a kind of supply and demand for government intervention in the economy, which arises from the economic system itself. Today, many countries operate with capitalist production, but this also exists along a spectrum. In reality, there are elements of pure capitalism that operate alongside otherwise socialist institutions. The standard spectrum of economic system places laissez-faire capitalism at one extreme and a complete planned economy such as communism at the other. Everything in the middle could be said to be a mixed economy. The mixed economy has elements of both central planning and unplanned private business. By this definition, nearly every country in the world has a mixed economy, but contemporary mixed economies range in their levels of government intervention. The US and the UK have a relatively pure type of capitalism with a minimum of federal regulation in financial and labor markets, sometimes known as Anglo-Saxon capitalism, while Canada and the Nordic countries have created a balance between socialism and capitalism. In contrast, pure capitalism, also known as laissez-faire capitalism or anarcho-capitalism, all industries are left up to private ownership and operation, including public goods, and no central government authority provides regulation or supervision of economic activity in general. Welfare capitalism is the economic combination of traditional free market principles mixed with laws or practices from a welfare state. A welfare state helps individuals by offering minimum wage pay, short work days, restrictions on working ages, and unemployment benefits. This type of economy provides a safety net for the individuals living and working in a society. Many European nations practice welfare capitalism, a system that is concerned with the social welfare of the worker, and includes such policies as state pensions, universal health care, collective bargaining, and industrial safety codes. Capitalism tends to benefit capitalists the most. These include business owners, investors, and other owners of capital. While capitalism has been evaluated as improving the standard of living for many people across the globe, it has by far benefited those at the top. Just witness the rise of the 1% and the 0.1% and 0.01%, and how much of the overall wealth these relatively small groups of individuals own and control. Why is capitalism harmful? Because of how it is structured. Capitalism will always put business owners and investors against the working class. Capitalists are in competition against one another, and so will seek to increase their profits by cutting costs, including labor costs. At the same time, workers want to see higher wages, fairer treatment, and better working conditions. These two incentives are fundamentally at odds with one another. This creates class conflict, inequalities, and misery among the working class. Capitalism also produces negative externalities that can harm the environment and people's health, and incentivizes cronyism and other bad behavior. Thank you for watching. If you like my content, please subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.
Created using Powtoon.